Indiana Jones, Indiana It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the daily podcast in which we take a bite out of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm the intern, Jerry Porter.
And today we have a very special guest, courtesy of the intern, Mr. Porter. It is the intern's intern. Welcome to the show, intern's intern.
Well, thank you for having me.
Where's my coffee?
Hey, listen, don't pay any attention to them. You're doing real well, all right? You'll be all right, kid.
I think he was talking to you, Jerry. But
Yeah, what the hell? Get your intern to get me my coffee. No, we all started at the bottom.
Yes, we all started at the bottom, and most of us are still there.
Yeah,
And
at least half of
when
us.
we are not getting coffee for those above us, we are discussing minute 48, which begins with Indy secretly eating an apple, and it ends with Willie discussing proper sleep hygiene. And I was thinking about this beginning with the apple, and I was wondering, is this foreshadowing of the guy that will come, the sweater vest guy in his class in Raiders, who puts the exact same green apple on his desk in a year? And I'm
Yes.
wondering, is that guy just so sick of every girl in his classroom just kind of like making the goo-goo eyes for Indy that he learned about Willie, and this is just a little bit of a jab. Like he puts the green apple on his desk and he's like, "Hey, jerkface, remember this?"
Yeah.
Or do you think maybe when Indy sees the apple, he gets sprung? He's like, "Oh my gosh, the last time I saw a green apple like that."
But then Marcus intercepts it. He doesn't even get
Yeah.
it.
Well,
Marcus
hey,
has a
look,
crush
in
on that
both scenarios, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, Pete, you bring up this, the apple, and I'm wondering, is it coincidental that the fruit that Indy entices Willie with is an apple? You know, and as we all know, the apple is the forbidden fruit, and it represents desire for knowledge and experience and even a loss of innocence. And, you know, if you've ever eaten an apple, you always realize a few minutes later that you're naked.
Although Indy's the first one to take a bite right here, though. It's a twist of the old Adam and Evil stuff.
Adam, did you say Adam and
That was
Evil?
awesome.
I did.
Oh
I did.
my
I was being lazy, but it came out. It works.
Adam and Evil. I'm impressed, Tommy, because my next note is, Tommy, that's a Garden of Eden reference there, you heathen.
Oh, come! I was an altar boy. Damn it! I held the cross and everything. I know these stories.
I would
Well,
like
look,
to say
yeah.
this is kind of the pinnacle of Indy's kind of his view of himself, because he literally has Willie eating out of his hand.
Oh, interesting.
That's very
Yeah.
good. Well, and I mean, I've never seen anyone actually fornicate with an apple. But
Well, now you have.
in this scene, yeah, right? I mean, the way Willie attacks that apple, it's pretty close. And I wonder if that's what the fall of mankind looked like.
Yeah, Adam got jealous. He's like, "Oh, come on! What you did to that apple? Come on! What do I gotta do?"
She like sinks her teeth into it and goes, "Oh."
Well,
Yeah.
and in every movie and every play, and basically on every Friday and Saturday night, some sort of a meal is foreplay, truly, right? You go
Oh,
out
that's
to
true.
dinner, and the
Yep.
whole connection between food and sex and being ravenous and sort of indulging your senses. I mean, it's sort of like, I don't know, it's kind of like foreplay, and they're just sort of testing out to see where everybody's at with what may or may not happen.
Sure,
Yeah.
that holds water.
That's great. And you think, I mean, they both bite.
They both bite
Yeah,
and a big
they're going
bite
down
at
together.
that. A big bite. That's right.
One thing that bugs me about this, beyond all the, I mean, just treating it as an apple, as a piece of food. She's starving right now, and there's no way that an apple, or even that if she ate the entire tray of fruit, that would not be satisfying. At least to me, that would not be like, oh, finally I got some food. It'd be like, okay, what do you got? You got some bacon, you got some eggs, you got like some steak or something. I need some protein.
I was thinking about this, and I did a little bit of research. The New Yorker had an interesting article recently. It was called "The Good, the Bad, and the Hangry," and it was talking about some of the side effects people go through when they're hungry. And I was wondering, are a lot of the things that we have problems with about Willie effects of hunger? Like she's just going through a complete deprivation of food. And we know she was starving by the time she got to Mayapur village, and she didn't really eat there. And so is she just completely, on a starvation diet? And some of the side effects that they list of terrible hunger are intensified awareness, which when you think about it, Willie is intensely aware of the elephant smell or the guy next to her at dinner, and she puts the perfume on them. Another side effect is greater marked persistence, and she has a definite tenacity in everything she does, from screaming to laundry to making sure people hear what she wants.
Yeah.
Bolder risk assessment. She takes more chances. Like in the plane, she jumps out of the plane. She rides an elephant. She does stuff she might not normally do.
So
that's interesting.
I like this. Yeah,
it's fascinating.
Well, it closed. There was an experiment they did called the Minnesota Starvation Experiment in 1946, and it documented the powerful connection between hunger and anger. And basically, they starved people for about 6 months to see how they would react.
Oh, God.
Everybody,
wow.
By the end of this time, everybody was just exploding with anger at anything anybody did. And I was just wondering, does that sound a lot like, I hate the water, I hate being wet, and I hate you?
Okay, but I'm assuming that she didn't perform at the Club Obi-Wan on an empty stomach. And so what part of that, experiment explains like real small guy and butting into conversations at the absolute wrong moment and all that stuff? Is that tied to, did she eat too many apples or something? Or I don't know.
That's a good point. I mean, basically what you're saying is, so she has, she's starving, Pete, and Indy, as we established, has malaria.
Yes.
Or like dengue fever.
Yeah.
Something, yeah. Was it maybe possibly Japanese encephalitis?
Yeah, that's my guess.
This coming from the guy who sounds like Bob Einstein right now.
I'm a little hoarse. That's true. Well, but what she does say here, the second she takes a bite, she says, "You're a very nice man."
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would play into your, that would play into your theory here, Pete. I mean, she turns on a dime. And you almost wonder, like, is that what Eve said?
I have a new appreciation for you all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Could we also say that Harrison Ford makes women go crazy?
Yes.
Could be.
I mean, could we empirically agree that he is every woman's type and he makes everyone go bananas?
Yes. I'd say apple. He doesn't need an apple to do that.
No.
Yeah, right.
No.
I do like that he calls her princess. That sounds very familiar coming out of his mouth.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I had that written down.
Her Highness.
And he says it with like bits of green apple flying through his teeth. and
even that's pretty smooth.
Yeah, it's still smooth.
Right.
Yeah.
But then he does something weird here, and hold this thought for the next minute. But he starts to do the thing that he did to Short Round on the hill. He starts to do the chin thing to her, and he taps her necklace, but she doesn't fall for it here.
Yeah, that's funny.
That totally creeped me out. Actually, I saw he kind of does that chin chuck, and you're like, ugh. But I'll tell you what's even more disconcerting is Willie says, "Maybe you can be my palace slave." Mm-hmm. And you're sitting here and you're like, I mean, how insensitive is that when Willie's bedroom is literally
next to palace slave?
Yeah, it's literally the portal to a dungeon a dungeon full of child palace slaves.
Yeah.
And she knows those kids are missing.
Right. Well, to be totally fair, she doesn't know that they're slaves. I mean, she just knows they're missing.
Yeah, and the hunger may have caused some kind of short-term amnesia.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. She says, and you can be my palace slave. And like, I don't know what, 80 feet below, there's hundreds of child palace slaves. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Inappropriate.
But yeah, it's even more than inappropriate.
Well, to your point, Jerry, I was just going to pose the question to you three gentlemen. In this mating ritual, in this dance, in this very minute, who has the upper hand? Who's holding the cards in this minute? Is it Indy or is it her?
I am going to say, speaking as a male, of course she is holding every single card in the deck. That's how it works. I mean, any smoothness, any couth and smooth and coolness that he has right now is because she has made herself, she starts the flirting with, you could be my palace slave. And then she, like every single line she has after that, until a certain point, which we'll get to, is, okay, we're both in my bedroom, we're eating fruit, you're touching my necklace, she's putting out the signals and he's gobbling them up, and but she instigated it and she's holding all the cards.
But see, I think she may hold the cards. I'm not convinced, but he thinks that he does, because as soon as she says you can be my palace slave, he does this pivot. And he turns around, and he just, this look in his eyes, he's like, you don't say. Like, he knows. Like, he's...
Yeah.
Well, Pete, I'm glad you mentioned that, because what happens is this big, sweeping harp comes in when he turns around and pivots.
Spectacular. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, you can be my palace slave, and it goes...
Yeah.
I got an idea.
Yeah, and I'm kind of thinking, like... and Indy becomes very animated. And I'm wondering, hey, is Dr. Jones into that kind of thing?
Well, that's where he gets clued in, though. That's where he's like, oh, she doesn't just want an apple. She wants, she wants stuff. She's into this. She's, that pivot is like, oh, wait just a second. I thought it was delivering
he's
fruit.
Into it. I mean, this is a guy who carries around a bullwhip.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just part of his his daily outfit. And then he hears palace slave, and he just knows what to do.
No, it is. It's like a light bulb goes off. He's like, ding. Well, maybe that might not be a light bulb dinging, but yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Pete, I didn't say
stones.
that. I'm just saying. That wasn't me with the sexual crudities. But look, I sleep in a red Puma soccer jacket every night and nothing else.
Awesome.
Oh my God.
Like, intern's intern, I mean, is that shocking?
This is actually happening right now.
This is going out to millions of listeners.
Dream.
Is that shocking? Because is it so shocking that Willie sleeps naked with their jewels?
Well, she posed it as a question. She wanted to make sure it wasn't shocking. She was asking if it was.
And are you equating a red Puma jacket with jewels?
Yeah, I'm not seeing that.
Well, I sleep with my jewels.
They're precious to him, everybody. They're precious to him. Like diamonds. Puma jacket. That's rule number 1.
The red soccer. I don't know. It just doesn't seem that shocking.
You guys, that's a thing. That's a thing that people wear or don't wear, or be dazzle or bejewel. To each his own. There's no rules. And it's not so far-fetched that she would wear. She was almost got her head blown off looking for a diamond. Of course she'd sleep in her necklace. I sleep in my jewelry. I sleep in my necklaces every night, and my earrings.
By the way, isn't this the first time she's ever worn this necklace? How does she know if she sleeps with it? She hasn't gone to bed yet with it. Since she's gotten it. Is she just talking about her previous jewels in Shanghai or something? She would sleep with those and nothing else?
Well, I guess Indy asks, right?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, intern. Do you sleep in your jewels and nothing else?
She's calling HR while you're asking this.
That would be correct. I sleep in nothing but my jewelry. That is correct, and that's an authentic statement. Absolutely.
That sounds painful and uncomfortable and dumb. What?
Painful.
It does. I mean, I sleep with a watch on, if that's what you're asking.
And nothing else?
No, I wear either my Chewbacca pajamas or just a t-shirt and stuff. Depending on the weather.
Fair enough. Peter?
I don't really wear jewelry.
Yeah, really.
So for you just sleep in nothing else.
I do wear a Fitbit. Yeah.
This slumber party's getting uncomfortable.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just getting started. I think we're fine.
That's what I'm afraid of. Hey, by the way, we need to. We can't skate past this. Right here, this moment that we're right now is the best line of the movie. The best line of the movie.
Which
I'll accept no argument. Nothing shocks me. I'm a scientist. That's the best line of the movie.
Okay, so wait a minute.
What?
What's your take? I feel very strongly about this line.
Okay.
Isn't it the same as trust me, I'm a doctor? You can take off your clothes. It's okay. I'm a doctor. I've seen it all.
I never took it that way, but I guess it sort of is. It's also probably not very accurate. It's probably not very accurate either, because I'm sure scientists get shocked all the time. I'm sure they, make awesome
remember
discoveries.
Remember there was that whole weekend where the guy left the mold in the bacteria petri dish, and he came back Monday morning and all the mold had eaten the bacteria, and now we had penicillin.
He was probably shocked.
Don't you think he was shocked Monday morning? That's a ridiculous statement.
But it's cool. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense, but it's cool.
Well, he's flossing like, hey, I'm a scientist, babe. Isn't that what he's doing? I'm a scientist. I'm cool. He's trying to floss in front of the chick. No?
Floss?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's trying to like promote his own bravado. Like
she doesn't mean really floss the apple, Tommy.
Well, I mean, we all need to floss after we eat an apple. There's like the skin gets in there and stuff.
Oh no!
I don't know. I have to be honest. I don't know that much about science or how it works, so that's why I'm a little confused.
Listen, Tommy, it's not science we're talking about that you don't know much about.
Wait,
Tommy,
write this down.
I was using a street vernacular to express the point that he's like puffing up his feathers, like he's trying to show off in front of the chick, Like,
yeah, but you know what?
I'm a scientist, babe. Like, check me out.
That is true, but I think that might be why I like this line.
He's trying to show he's masculine, and he's like this.
But it's not just that. It's the reason I like it is because science is actually cool, but it's not necessarily like a sexy thing. It's not like he's like, exposing his chest or anything. It's not like he's like flexing his muscles. He's like, I'm a scientist. Up yours. I can handle anything. I'm a scientist. It's like it's like Spock sexy or something. It's like, he's just talking about something cool about him. I said Spock sexy.
Spock sexy. Spock sexy.
You wouldn't understand, Jerry.
Spock sexy.
Spock sexy.
No, you know what? Let's go right to, we'll solve it. Let's go right to the listener's crusade. Mm-hmm. Spock sexy. Yes or no?
A question or a... No, okay, let me rephrase this. Not that I'm not backing away from Spock sexy. I stand by that. However... No, what's cool about Indy saying this is it's just laid back. It's cool. It's more, how about this? It's more Indiana Jones than anything that comes in the next minute and a half. I'll say that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
And I like that you have some new slang you can use to impress people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
And you should.
Hey,
I'm
flossing.
Hold on a
Well, I
second,
mean,
I'll
you
go
know-
floss.
Well, what
Gum-
about
gum health.
why don't you just, like sling out, nothing shocks me, I'm an editor.
Oh, that's epic.
And just see what happens.
Don't
I mean,
ask
I'm
me, I
just
write
saying.
textbooks.
Yeah. Look, I'll just say this. If there's one group of people who are continually shocked by the world around them,
Yeah,
it is scientists.
right.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
doesn't take anything away from that line and how cool it is.
But you don't
You're
think
not gonna
Edwin
shake me out of
Hubble
this.
was shocked when he discovered that the universe was expanding?
We've seen Indiana Jones shocked. He's been shocked and awed before in like 2, 3, 4 movies. We've seen
All
it. So
right,
like the line literally doesn't make any sense, but it's a great line.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, listen. We can still be friends.
So does Indy like she asked him what kind of research he would do, and he takes his glasses off and he says nocturnal activities, and then he acts like he tosses his glasses away, and I'm trying to figure out if he's pretending to toss them or if he really does toss them, but it makes me wonder, does he only wear the glasses for show? Like, does he only wear them as part of his act, like to look to his scientist flossing looking smart act?
That is a good question.
Well-
You know what's like, as you were asking that, I was watching that scene again, and before he takes off his glasses, you can actually see that this surprised me. They actually do have real lenses in them. You can see through the lens that everything on the other side is distorted. So he actually does need
Oh,
the
wow.
glasses sometimes, or
Wow.
Harrison Ford does.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or do you think he's sort of resolved to go through with this, but maybe he's not that attracted physically to Willie, and he had to take the glasses off, to make things happen,
Yeah, no, she's all
to sort
blurry.
of
Blur it up a
Like a
little
big
bit.
bro.
blur it up a little bit, lubricate the senses.
He's getting himself drunk on fruit before he gets into this.
Yeah, the other.
I'm
four
diving
senses. Yeah, other than sight, the other 4 senses.
Yeah.
I'm diving in.
I think that sincerely, I think he needed her to sort of, she didn't exactly make the first move, but she initiated the whole, flirtation thing here. And I think Indiana Jones needed that, because as I was watching it this time, like, he's super, super romantic smooth in this scene in a way that I don't totally buy, given, like, the only other, this might be more for the next minute, but I'll say it now because I'm saying it. The only other romantic relationship we've seen him in is with Marion, and that started when she was about 15 and a half or whatever it was. And that does not leave me with the impression that Indiana Jones is a Lothario or like a smooth-talking guy. That, given Marion and who she is and who he is, that makes me see him as a guy who doesn't know what he's doing with women, and he just happened to, I don't know, had this connection with like this kid, and like it doesn't spell to me like that he's gonna waltz into Willie's room and like take charge and that he's holding the cards. He needed her to, initiate that.
I just think to myself, hello, Marion. Wait a minute, let me try that again. I'm a little hoarse.
You are.
Hello, Marion. Damn it. I can't do it.
Oh my God.
Hello, Marion.
Hey,
I
Marion.
can't do it. Look, that's the dude
Yeah.
that we know. Yeah.
What's up?
Hello, Marion.
You gotta do the horse voice. Hello,
Whiskey?
Marion. Hello, Marion.
Oh God, there go
Hello,
my
Cecil.
jewels. There go my jewels to bed. He's just that's him being Indiana Jones, and he's not trying to be sexy or smooth. He just is.
I actually
Yeah.
disagree, because I think when he holds the apple and he's watching her eat it, like, I feel like in his eyes there's just I feel like he knows exactly what he's doing and what's about to happen.
Oh
So
yeah,
you
I think so
that-
too.
I think he engineered it.
So he holds the cards,
Oh.
then, Pete.
Yeah, I think he does.
Pete, do you
Well-
feel, building on that sentiment, as I was thinking about in preparation for this podcast minute, that if this is taking place after whatever happened with Marion, that perhaps this encounter with Willie is somewhat of a revenge?
For who though?
You know,
Like,
that he's kind of, well, because Indy's kind of soured on it. It didn't work out with Marion. They were pretty much simpatico, even though the age thing, there was obviously a connection that was way different than whatever's going on with Willie. And, you know, he's just sort of like, forget it, whatever. Here's this dame.
Maybe. I mean, maybe you can make the case that, like, Marion was the real connection, even though it was a little bit of a weird thing, or a majorly weird thing. And that, yeah, he's James Bond trying to drown out the screams of all the people he's killed by sleeping around or so, you know, like some bad guy says that to James Bond at some point. But yeah, there might be something to that.
But which is the real Indy here? Is it like with Marion? Is that the real Indy here? And that's how we know him, or is this sort of how he cultivate? You know, this Willie relationship. Is this his normal? And Marion's the outlier.
Yeah, but Marion does have sort of a different dynamic with Marion. Like, she seems like she holds the cards in that relationship. Oh yeah. And I wonder if that's kind of what's, you know, when Indy, you're talking about as soon as Willie says you can be my palace slave, and all of a sudden Indy's like, oh, you know, that's when that's when the light goes on, and he's like, maybe that's what he likes.
Ew.
I mean, do you think that?
Sorry to all of our listeners who are in the slave things. I'm sorry. It's okay. I don't judge.
Well, but I mean, you know, Pete, do you feel like that we're looking at his normal right here with Willie? Or as the intern's intern asked you, and I like that she asked you very specifically. Yeah. Do you think this is a revenge?
I don't see necessarily the revenge angle. I would think maybe more than revenge. Like when we were kind of saying that when Indy got to Shanghai, he kind of went through this thing where he decided to reinvent himself. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if part of the process of reinventing himself is he opens himself up to trying to do bigger and better and new experiences. And Willie just happens to be part of what's being swept into, you know, the experience maw with everything else, rather than that she's being specifically like, oh, I'm going to get back at Marion.
I would agree, but add the amendment that what's interesting about this version of Indy in this movie across the board is that it's sort of a less soulful, a little bit more of a steely Indy than what we saw in Raiders, just by comparison, and that Willie is somehow a reflection of that, of where he's at personally. So not revenge against Marion, it's more just by that terminology. I mean that sometimes it's sort of sort of an aggressiveness towards the whole approach as a whole.
Well, I want to get to, you said something a minute ago, Pete, that you know, Indy, by bringing the tray of fruit to her, that's like he knows exactly what he's doing. That's like his in. That's and I agree with that. But I feel like if he brought her the tray of fruit and she just grabbed an apple and went to bed, he would have been like, all right. And he would have gone to bed. Like, I think her reaction to that, he needed her reaction and to let him in that way for him to even consider pursuing anything.
I agree. And I also do want to say that I think I definitely agree with you in the sense that while I don't necessarily know if Indy's trying to get revenge against Marion, he does seem to want to be trying to get revenge against females. Like, his whole attitude towards Willie in this movie is very sort of, I mean, almost misogynistic. You know, he calls her doll and dame and sweetheart, and it's got venom dripping from his mouth when he says it.
Yeah. Well, it could be it could be a reaction to Marion. It could be, you know, Marion was the one, and I'm not going to have her. I louse that up, and the world is filled with, you know, women, I guess, quote unquote, and I'll just, you know, work my way through them and whatever.
That's what I was. Yeah. That's,
okay.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's a skunk. We hate his guts. He's a filthy human being, even if he's a cool scientist.
Well, okay. I'll change the subject quickly then. At second 30, if you look in the background, there's a weird statue over in the right-hand corner, kind of a brass statue that looks almost exactly like Howard the Duck.
Oh God!
And I was wondering. I kind of like that because the two people that wrote this screenplay, Gloria Katz and Willard Hike, went on to write Howard the Duck in about 2 years, and this was about the time they started working on it.
Well, why couldn't it have been an American Graffiti reference, and it could have been a statue of Indiana, or Harrison Ford as Bob Falfa? Why couldn't they have done that? Why'd they have to do Howard the Duck?
Yeah.
Crying out loud.
Well, he also kind of looks like Crow from Mystery Science Theater, and that got me thinking maybe this was like an ancient prophecy foretelling, one day 2 mighty franchises would come together in one podcast.
Probably. That's probably it.
Epic.
Indiana Jones.
Well, I I just want to toss this out there. Well, let's start with the intern's intern. My intern. How do you? Is it possible that Indy and Willie, they don't seem to share any interests in common here, right? I mean, from the beginning of the movie.
Severe gold lust.
Yes. Okay. Severe gold lust. And yet we see this scene that's supposed to be like carnal and all this chemistry, and they both really want it, and we're chomping apples, and I'm wondering. I mean, how important is do you need shared interest? I guess other than a physical chemistry or just a physical sexuality. To have a good time in a palace.
Well, here's what I would offer in my travels. I would say that it depends what the shared perceived outcome is. If you are looking for, palace mischief for a night or two, it really doesn't matter if you have any interests other than the chemistry and the getting along, and that's all that really matters, and you can go your separate ways. Mm-hmm. I guess if you're something beyond the palace gates, then there are certain points you come together on, but it's also funny. It's opposites attract, or they don't attract, or it's this or it's that, and who knows?
And they are 2 very attractive people. Willie can be annoying, but she can also be very charming, and she's very attractive.
Well, then why did Indy take his glasses off?
I think it was a move. It was a move.
Okay.
Sort of like it's just a move, like ripping off the hat, or throwing the cape on the Davenport. It's just a move.
Wait a minute.
My by the way, from now on, I'm going to sleep in a cape and nothing else.
I'm going to toss my cowl on the chaise lounge.
Oh, my God.
First, I need to buy a Davenport.
Yeah, exactly.
Then a cape.
And then you'll be set.
Yeah, nothing else.
But you know what it is? They have more in common than they realize. It's not the superficial. They're both sort of singular people that are a little bit road weary. They both have their own individual enterprise. She's the entertainer. He's the archaeologist. They're established in their field, but they're not really at the pinnacle. They both think highly of themselves. So in all actuality, if you peel away the layers, they actually have quite a bit in common. Mm-hmm. I would say.
Yeah. You're probably not wrong.
And they're far from home, and they're tired, and they're horny and hungry, and they're there.
You kids go have fun. Wear your gym hats.
I approve this tryst.
That's amazing.
Take notes for Shorty later.
Wait, this just in from Professor Christy Porter.
Oh.
Yes. Jones wears his jewels to bed too.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, boom.
Oh, that's sick.
Well, I think we ravaged. Minute 48.
I have one more, just small thing. I absolutely love the lighting and the decor in Willie's room.
Oh, sure.
Like it's this crazy green fairy tale lighting, and it's just a magical room. It reminds me, Jerry, I know it looks a lot like something at the Madonna Inn.
Oh, exactly. It looks exactly like they're at the Madonna Inn, which
Totally.
is right off the 101, right? Just as north of
San Luis
Pismo
Obispo.
Beach. Yeah, San Luis. Yeah. For those of you who would like to reenact this scene,
as Pete and Jer apparently have.
Yes. It's literally halfway between me and Pete on the Highway 101.
And
It's so cute.
it's got like 100 different rooms, and every room is themed. It has a different decor. So just show up and ask for the Pancot special. You won't be sorry.
Who knew we were going to give a shout out to the Madonna Inn this evening?
Get some free rooms. That's good.
So, is there anything you would like to plug, intern?
Plug the coffee maker back in. Ba-dum-bum.
I guess nothing. Can I plug the recipe?
Absolutely, plug the recipe.
There's a couple of recipes inspired by the movie that'll be on, including Fever Dream Chai and Salad Toast. Good for any breakfast.
I work here and I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yes, that's true. No,
it's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Where can somebody find these recipes?
Oh, they'll be on the Listeners Crusade posted. We'll post them on the Listeners Crusade. Yeah, it's something the intern specializes in. It's called Salad Toast.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you haven't joined the Listeners Crusade, which is our special group on Facebook, look it up, send a request, join, and get the interns family special recipe. And after you show up at the Green Apple, you could come back here tomorrow and find us right where you found us today for minute 49 of the Indiana Jones Minute.
Go ahead, Tom. You want to say it. You're a scientist and nothing shocks you.
I was going to say sexy Spock in a funny way, but no, I've changed my mind.
There is no funny way to say that.
There's no non-funny way to say it.
Yeah.
I'll say it to myself after the episode.
I'll just see how that goes over. Walk into your bedroom tonight. And
Honey, sexy Spock. Huh?
I'm flossing, honey. I'm flossing.
Yeah.